What's going on, good people out there? We are back once again with another awesome JayNAS podcast. And of course, today, get yourself ready to be fully updated on all of the latest PC, console, retro, and Nintendo gaming. And as always, I'm joined by my good mate, Jason616. He is our local retro and Nintendo expert. Mate, welcome to the show. Good to have you on board again, buddy.
Hello. Yeah. Hey man, yeah, it's good to be here. I don't know why I said it like that.
No,
I don't even know what I was trying to sound like.
You had a brain fart. It's alright, mate. It happens to the best of us.
I had the biggest brain fart. Jesus Christ, that was a shocker. I am happy
welcome to the podcast. Cool, man.
Time for the podcast.
Yeah, man. We all, as we were discussing off air, it's a bit quiet with the mob up of E3, so there's not really much development going. You know, not really much news happening because it's all been said and done last week. So we got some bit to talk about, mate. So it is a little bit quiet, but it's good to have another podcast to talk about anyway.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, look, it's hard because at the back of E3, nothing much is going on. You know, they just all the news has come out. Everyone's excited. It's the week after, man. There's not going to be much news. They would have just all announced it there. You know, but you know, is what is, and here we are. We still have some stuff to cover on. So.
Yeah. We got some bits and pieces, just some tail end mopping up stuff, which is to be expected, mate. But we'll get through this. So the bits and pieces I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk a little bit about CD Projekt Red and of course Cyberpunk. Still more on that. A little bit on one of my favourite games of all time, Brutal Legend, which is really cool. Nel Druckman, the gaming director of Last of Us 2, he had a little bit of something to say on Last of Us, which is really, really awesome. Sony is looking at hiring staff to work on a new game, very anticipated. It'll be coming out on PlayStation 5, which I'll get into I'll get into in a little time later. So of course my usual honourable mentions as well, including something that I'm really excited to talk about, which is the 10 most pre-ordered games since E3. So the list is definitely going to surprise you. I mean, if you run through your head what you think with the most pre-ordered games ever since E3's announcements, you'll be very surprised the way this list going. I reckon it can't be since E3. I reckon they've done something silly and decided to include the pre-orders before E3. So I don't think they've done it right, because it can't be right in my opinion. It's just a really weird list. So we'll cover that a little bit more in a bit, man. But what have you got to talk about today, buddy?
Okay. Some more news out on the Evercade. Yeah, I love a little handheld console that's going to be taking cartridges. We spoke about it before. Some more games have been announced, as well as some details about what that console is going to do, as opposed to just games coming out. So that is really, really cool to finally get some news about it, as opposed to just titles on it. They also talking about the free-to-play Super Mario Battle Royale game that's surfaced online as well. So talking a bit about that, I'm yet to play it, and you said just before you looked at it, so it looks interesting. So I'm definitely keen to talk more about that, as well as some honourable mentions. I can't believe I'm going to talk about Just Dance later on. You'll find out why, as an honourable mention, as well as something to do with the Metroid franchise as well. But I only had two main topics, so I thought I would do something a bit different this time as one of my topics. And I'll let you think about it all the way through this podcast, so you can, towards the end, we can say, where we're going to go with this one. And that is, what we've always spoken about games that we like and what games we love. And you love Rocket League, I love Zelda, and we always go on a rant about them when we talk about them because it's our love. But we've never actually spoken about our 5 worst games we've ever played and the ones we don't like. So I challenge you to come up with 5 games that you just never got into and thought were shithouse.
Yeah.
And try and think of ones that are so bad that you wouldn't recommend to anyone. So we'll reverse it about not what we like, but what we dislike this time.
Yeah, I agree, man. That sounds like a really interesting topic to talk about, mate. That definitely sounds like
Be a bit of fun.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, man. I mean, like, it's easy to say, oh, this is the worst game, because there are some really badly made games out there. But I'm sort of going along the lines where games that other people thought were good, but they end up sort of being banned. There might be a game in there that was sort of a bit of a bandwagon. So there'll be some games in there that people might think, oh, that wasn't a bad game, but I just thought it was bad. This is purely IMO.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
there
and
are
it's
some...
down. One thing you might like, I might hate. You just don't know. I can already name probably my worst ever. It is dreadful, and only one game comes to mind. It is a shocker, and it's not because some people thought it was good and some people thought it was bad. Everyone thought it was bad, but I'll get into that a bit later on.
Definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. Alrighty, dude. Well, cool. Alright, man, so you ready to get this thing kicked off and started?
Let's give it a good kick in the right direction.
Alright, guys, turn off the lights, get yourself comfortable, lean back on that lazy boy, turn your earlobes on, get those eardrums ready to go, drum those eardrums, get them bleeding, because you're about to be up to date on the latest in PC gaming, console, retro, and Nintendo news right here on the JayNAS podcast. Alright, dude, so the first thing, as I mentioned before, that I really want to talk about is, of course, CD Projekt Red. They have announced something really juicy to do with Cyberpunk. So, for people out there that are very highly anticipated with Cyberpunk 2077, they would be overly familiar with CD Projekt Red already. And, excuse me, that was a shocker.
Oh,
and of course,
straight off the get-go.
The infamous Witcher series, and of course the most famous Witcher game from the Witcher series is, of course, Witcher 3. That's easily the most successful game to date. They plan to have Witcher 3 style expansions. So with Witcher 3 they have Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. And of course what they plan to do is they have a very... So Witcher 3 is a great game. I've been playing it, especially with the hype of all Cyberpunk, and I'm a bit of a fan of Witcher 3. I'm a huge fan of Elder Scrolls and Skyrim, so it's going to take me quite a bit for me to say Witcher 3 is better than Skyrim, but I've only just started playing it. So so far it's a great game. I recommend to anyone that has never played Witcher 3, got to play it. It's a brilliant game so far. And it is very story-rich, very immersive, great graphics. It ticks a lot of boxes. I mean... I'm starting to see where people are coming from. That's the greatest game of all time. It really is. It's pretty awesome. So, like I said, it's story rich, and they've been able to build the expansions on to the main story of the game, which is really good. Skyrim did the same thing with their expansions as well. They were able to sort of build the stories on there to complement the main, sort of like the main story, sort of in its own way. So they plan to do the same thing with Cyberpunk. So, as we all know, Cyberpunk's not getting released until I think it's April next year. So I'd say DLC won't happen for about another year or so, or something like that. So we just as we expected, it's going to be extremely story rich. There's going to be, of course, the main story is going to be plenty of alternate, side missions as well. It's going to be never ending. So many things you'll be able to do, being such a big open world, highly anticipated. But then for them to confirm that they will not just add DLCs, but it's going to be awesome DLCs as well. That's just going to make you sort of cream your pants, knowing that you've just finished the story, you've done some side missions, and then in a few months' time, you're going to literally be able to put Cyberpunk, play Cyberpunk again, and then download the new DLCs and literally just pick up from where you left off with the story, and it's not going to be like a whole brand new game. So a good example of a game where the DLC was almost unrelative to the main story itself. Jesus Christ, I've just gone blind now. My brain's gone to mush. Is Prey? That's right. Prey, done by Bethesda Studios, and all that sort of stuff. Prey was a great game. I love that game. It was a great first person shooter explorer game. Very unique. The things you could do on that was was really cool. You're like half human, half alien sort of thing. It was really cool. And then they released the Moon Crash DLC, and I was excited about it because I thought it was part of the main story. It had absolutely nothing to do with the main story. Absolutely nothing to do with it. And the story, it wasn't even really a story in itself. It was almost like as if Prey did its own Dark Souls. It was like, you'd had to. It's hard to explain, but basically you had to go through stages and replay the same stage as different characters over and over again, and the stage would get harder and harder. And the only way learn is by dying of what you got to do. And of course, if you died, you had to start all over again, and all this sort of stuff. So it was a very sort of Sekiro, very Dark Souls, Bloodborne sort of feel about it. And I only played it for a couple of hours, and I thought, this is terrible. I just couldn't get into it. So yeah, it was just. I mean, Prey was a great game. I really enjoyed it. But then the DLC was like, I was quite disappointed in it actually. So that's my personal opinion. Yeah, man. That's very exciting stuff. Great news if you are a massive CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk fan. Highly anticipated game, but even more anticipated to know that you're going to have, probably 300 or 400 hours of story-rich gameplay. In my opinion, probably even more. So if you really sort of take your time to explore the game, which you will, the game will make you do that. If you really take your time, you might even get like 600 hours of story-rich gameplay. I'm not talking about mucking about and doing all the missions and that, just going around and just being stuff and just doing the odd side missions that still keep you repeating themselves, like in GTA. I reckon we're between 400 and 600 hours of consistent, rich, storyline gameplay, which would be great. And they still haven't confirmed about multiplayer yet. It's not ruled out, but I would be very excited to see a GTA 5 style multiplayer sort of like feel or effect with it. So not so much as game modes. There would be game modes, but sort of just you're a character, you drive around, you do heists, you team up with people, you can have your own little apartment. Something like that would be pretty cool. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'd love to have something like that. But mate, that is topic number one for me, mate. I can't wait to hear what you got, buddy.
Sweet, man. Well, I'm leaning over towards the Evercade, the handheld system of all our hopes and dreams of a retro gamer. So a bit more has come out about it. I'll start off by saying it's had a new announcement for a collection of games, which is another Namco collection number 2. They've already had one Namco collection where they had Pac-Man and Dig Dug and a few things like that on. We've got, this one's got Galaga, Pack Attack, the Tower of Druga, Dig Dug 2, we've got Warpman, Splatterhouse, just to name a few. So some more details have come out about this. We've obviously been told it's got some some cartridge collections coming out. We've got Atari, we've got Interplay, we've got Namco, we've got more Namco, more Interplay, more Atari. These guys are jumping on the bandwagon. But what we did hear in the news actually earlier today, the press release came out where the team has announced the support for a new retro-inspired games and have confirmed that they are already in discussion with several indie producers to bring their games to the console. It looks like this could yet be another perfect handheld destination for retro fans. So they're actually aiming to release new retro games for this thing as well, not just things from the past. So if there's people out there that still kind of create these retro style games, and they do get announced on the Switch every now and again, they've got that real 16-bit feel to it. They are tracking those guys down, and they are happy to put them on cartridges for this console. So that is a really cool thing. They're not just going back, they're trying to recreate. And I said that to you, I think cartridges will come back. If people are creating new games for cartridges, I might be on the money there. So I kind of surprised myself when I said that. Originally, new games are coming to cartridge. It seems that might be the case. Never would have said that 3-4 years ago. But here we are. Anyway, we've come out with some features of this handheld console now. So it supports 8 and 16-bit games. So older and older, if that makes any sense. It's got an ever-increasing library of games, so we're looking, every cartridge has 6 to 20 games per cartridge. 6 to 20 is a bit of a gap. So, I would have said like 14 to 20. A 6 to 20? There's like a 14 game difference.
Weird. Whose idea that was?
Yeah, I know, Jesus. I suppose the 8-bits probably will have 20, as the 16-bits might have a lower number. I don't know. Has HDMI connectivity to connect to your TV, much like the Switch. It has a 4.3-inch screen, but you can select it to 16:9 ratios if you want as well. So a lot of people kick up a fucking stink about it, and I've done it as well. When I stream retro games, obviously it goes through a splitter so I can get it there. I don't use emulation, and people complain that my screen is stretched. And if you're playing a retro game, play it in 4:3 or 4:3. And I'm sorry, I play on my consoles because Twitch doesn't like you using emulations. It automatically does it because I have to have it go through my game capture. So many people jump in and go, oh, what the fuck, I'm not watching this when it's in widescreen. So people can adapt to both, so no one can fucking complain about it. It's one of my most things that annoys me with my channel. And what I do is they get so frustrated that my screen is stretched. Gee, I'm sorry. I'm going through I'm having to convert it out to a TV through a HDMI splitter. What do you want? It supports saving and loading your game at any point that you're up to. So you can just, if you're stuck on a certain stage, like Donkey Kong, where you don't want to do the frickin' minecarts over and over again, just save and go back to it. They're saying it's got a 4 to 5 hour battery life when it's not on charge. It's launching globally and it's retailing at about, well, for us, it's about $69 Australian.
Please.
Cartridge prices have gone to about $15.
Yeah, right.
So, a cheap console, cheap games, $15 for 20 games ain't too bad. So they'll hit the market soon, and with the success of the Switch, I mean, I don't know how many people pre-ordered from your list from Nintendo. I can name a few games that might be up there on that list at the top. But yeah, they're going to do some good things, these guys. I think these indie publishers are doing the right thing. And good to see the Evercade come out. Am I going to get one? There's not as many games on the lists that are really grabbing my attention currently. So I'll have to wait and see some more come out. If people release some newer retro games, then I might jump on the bandwagon. There's some good collection games, but you know, am I on board? Maybe not yet. I like the concept though. I will say I like the concept. So yeah, that's the updated news on the Evercade. They are expecting they said a late August release, so it's not far away. Not far away at all. Can't believe we're almost into the second part of the year. That just baffles me.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Well, that's exactly it, mate. It's it just goes quicker as you get older, and it's just things fly. There's just never enough time of the day.
Well, I'm going to be jobless in 11 days, so hopefully this podcast takes off. I need something.
Something will happen, mate. That's the thing, mate. Is just that what did Kerwin Raid say the other day? Is that you know, when a butterfly is breaking out of its cocoon, you never peel away the cocoon because it kills it. The reason why is that the butterfly must struggle. It must fight to get out of the cocoon because it makes the blood flow to the wings. It makes it build strength in its wings so it can actually fly away and survive. So sometimes the way I've always say to people that know to me is that you need some people need to go through a struggle, and some people will struggle for longer than others and all that sort of stuff, but it preps you, it conditions you for things that happen in the future, and something will happen to you in the future, man. And the thing is, if that thing happened to you 10 years ago, you wouldn't be able to do it. So
well, yeah, exactly right. And you know, you share a lot of Kerwin stuff.
Yeah, man.
And it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, I've met the guy as well, so that's
shut up.
Yeah. I did some work with him actually in the field I'm in, but I'm leaving my yeah,
no, just kidding.
I'm leaving my job as it stands because I'm completely unhappy there. I'm severely underpaid, and
underpaid and underrated, mate.
Oh, dude, I know, and it sucks. And I've been there for 10 years, and I've finally gone, fuck it, I'm out of there. So I'm literally making myself jobless to pursue something that he's not paying me right now because I believe in that, because I like what I do, because I have the drive to accomplish something, you know? And to me, it's following my heart, and I feel like that's the best thing to do, is always follow your heart. Don't ever be stuck in a place that makes you unhappy. Because although I might be struggling right now, when I finally get to that place, because I will, it's going to be so worth it rather than sitting on my ass, doing something I hate, going, I wish I did that.
Yeah.
Because that's not how I roll.
Exactly it, mate. And like I say to a lot of people that I talk to when people approach me with similar sort of discussions and problems, you know, well, not problems, but you know what I mean, where they have concerns with their life. And a lot of things that people come up to me and approach me about, and I usually say to them, look, one of the best sayings I've ever heard in my life, one of the best analogies I've ever heard in my life was said by Will Smith, and he says that the Marines, they have a saying. The saying goes that everyone wants to get into heaven, but no one wants to die. So what that means basically is that everyone wants to reap success, everyone wants to have the best benefits of everything that they want, everyone wants to have dreams, everyone wants to succeed in their dreams.
I've heard something similar.
Exactly, and everyone wants the fruits of life. They want it all, they want everything, but there's only about 0.003% of people on this planet are willing to live and breathe what they have to do to actually achieve it. And there was another guy who was a motivational speaker, I can't remember his name, but he said something awesome, and he goes, how many of you people here, because he's talking to a crowd of thousands of people, he goes, how many people here want to be successful? And all these people put their hands up, and he goes, I bet none of you here actually want to be successful. And everyone's sort of like confused. Well, of course we are, of course we do. He goes, I'll tell you now if you want to be successful and how to be successful. He goes, you know, when you're out on the beach, when you're in the ocean and a wave comes out of nowhere and, you know, pops you up, you know, knocks you over, puts your head underwater so much, and you're sort of, you don't know where you are, and you feel like you're drowning, you're starting to drown, and then you realise that you are drowning, and now you're gasping for air, but you don't know where the surface is. The surface is so far away, you don't think you're going to make it, so you start panicking. Right at that moment, all you can think about is air. All you can think about is swimming to the top and breathing because you want to survive. For that moment, everything in the whole world stops. Nothing else exists. You know, nothing. No problems. No nothing. Nothing exists. Everything goes dark, and all you are thinking about is breathing, getting to the top to survive. And he says that's what it's like to be successful. If all you are thinking about is being successful and achieving what you want to do, then you're going to be successful. But if you're going, oh, maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week, or maybe not right now, you know, then you're not going to be successful. So that's the thing, man. So in my opinion, it's a blessing in disguise, because it's going to help you. I know there's going to be some stress moments and all that sort of stuff, but it's going to allow you to go, this is what I want, this is what I need to do, and I don't want to do anything else but what I'm doing, and it's going to lead you to success, man, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is as well, like you said, that quote, the whole Bible thing. I've heard something similar, and it was, what was it? It was, everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to read the Bible from cover to cover. Yeah, that's the one I've heard. Funny enough, the person I heard it from is probably the most least likely person you could probably ever think would say that, and that was actually Marilyn Manson. So people might turn around and hate on that dude, but he's a smart dude, and that's like that's what he said, and it's true. Like everyone wants just to be handed everything on a silver spoon, but no one wants to do the hard work and the grunt work. And I think I said this to you the other day, and that was the fact of, I am happier doing the grunt work, because at the same time, it's all about the journey, not the destination. The journey is what wakes you up. Yeah. It's
100%, mate. Like I said to you, I can't wait to fail, because I choose strength and conditioning 110% of the time, not luck and just, you know, throwing at you an ambition. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. If it does become successful quicker than what we thought, it's a bonus. But mate, I want us to go through the hard yards. I want us to grind. You know, I want us to gain the strength out of it. You know, it's going to be
that's
great.
It. You know, and the silver spoon thing, and we're so not talking about games, but we're talking about, like, you know, different things right now. But it's the fact that I've come from an environment that I was at for the best part of 10 years, and I worked my ass off, and I was never really credited for at least 6 of them. There were people that came in, had only been there 6 months, and they were just given opportunities. And I sat back. I didn't let myself get pissed off about it. It just made me go, well, obviously I need to work harder. I need to grind more. I need to do more of that work. And more people came in, getting opportunities over me, getting opportunities over me, getting opportunities over me. I just worked my ass off because I thought, I don't even want to be in that guy's boots because he's not worked for it. Because if I was given an opportunity and it was just given to me and put in front of me and said, there you go. And yes, I'm talking about wrestling for those listening that aren't friends with me anymore. I've come across this. I am talking about wrestling, but they were just given, title match opportunities. If I'd just been given that and I won that title, I wouldn't feel like I earned it. And it would be a big slap in the face to myself. Because I would just think, oh, what? Like, I didn't earn this. And I did earn every single damn belt in that organization through hard work and grunt work. And it's not me remembering holding those belts now. It's what I remember is all the work I put in to get there. It was not necessarily having said championship. It's all the work I put in and the dedication and the heart I put into getting there. Yes, I got shat on from above after it all, but it doesn't take away from my journey, because that journey woke me up to realize those people. It made me realize those people, and it's like a quote from Lemmy Kilmister, rest in peace, from Motorhead. He said, I've discovered that there are really only 2 kinds of people, those who are for you and those who are against you. Learn to recognize them, for they are often easily mistaken for each other. And that was the biggest lesson I ever took out of that. And now, in this world that we're in, I would always like to hear what I do bad because I can improve on that. But this world is just so nice. Everyone is just in so much support, and I mean, you're one of my biggest support anchors, maybe even one of my biggest support anchor in all the things we do with channel related. And we've got our own little project coming up that I don't want to lift the lid on just yet.
That's top secret.
Top secret. We might change the scene at Perth, but I'm not going to say too much more. But it's a big support anchor, and we're going in there guns blazing with, we're hungry. Because I think we're the kind of people, and you've come from a similar background of me, we're hungry people, and when we want to do something, we're doing it. And there's no other way about it. We'll get there one way or another. We just will.
100%.
But it's always good to have someone that's got your back that goes through exactly the same things to support you in that. And you are mine, as probably I am too. I would rather receive things that I'm doing wrong than things I'm doing right, because I would rather be improving as opposed to just someone blowing smoke up my ass.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's just the way I am. I don't know how we even got so sidetracked.
Mate, it happens every now and then, buddy, but it's alright. We've got the whole night. We are good, so
we'll keep this podcast going for 2.5 hours. Don't you worry,
no,
and you'll listen to every damn minute of it.
Yeah, god damn it! Otherwise, I come around the house in the middle of America. Yeah, no. All right, man. So I'll get on with my second topic, shall I, buddy?
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right, cool, excellent. So the next thing I would like to talk about, excuse me.
You're suffering tonight.
I don't know, yeah, it's just suddenly I decided to start coughing. I love that, it's great. Love it, every single time. I wish
the listeners like, oh, I wonder when the next time NAS is going to
cough, let's make a bet. Yeah, I know. It's like, I just wish that my coughing and sneezing would make appointments with me when it wants to do it. And I'll be like, oh, can you reschedule that cough for about another half an hour? That'd be nice. Now, look, all right. So, Tim Schafer, one of the head honchos of Double Fine, one of my favourite game developing companies, developer of one of my favourite games I've ever played in my entire life, Brutal Legend, who the main character is played by one of my favourite actors, comedians, of all time, basically, and musicians, of course, is Jack Black from Tenacious D.
Good old Jack.
So Brutal Legend, it's a great game. For people out there that aren't familiar with Brutal Legend, it's a linear style sort of. It's actually an open world game, but it's quite linear in its own way. But it's more or less open world. It's probably considered one of the most basic games you would ever play. It is quite story rich. It's very simply put together, but yet that's the brilliant thing about it. It's just how simple it is, but yet it's brilliant. And
you can even imagine it almost as like a Tenacious D game. Like,
it is.
You know what I mean? Like, as you progress in, like, pick a Destiny movie, it's almost like a.
Well, basically, so, oh god, I've played the game, done 2 playthroughs of the game. My most recent one was about 6 months ago, and I can't bloody remember the main character's name, the guy that Jack Black plays as. It's on the tip of my tongue, it's at the back of my head. But yeah, so basically you are a rock legend, basically. Initially, it's hard to explain. I'll quickly explain as quick as I can, but basically the whole story of it is that Jack Black's character, he's a roadie. And he's a roadie of like a heavy metal band, but it's like today's sort of age heavy metal bands that have all changed these days, sort of thing.
Is it Eddie Riggs?
That's him, Eddie Riggs. That's him, Eddie Riggs. And then they're on stage, and the stage collapses. He gets crushed, and he sort of gets transformed into like another world. And this world is literally made and built from, like, literally based on hard rock heavy metal, right? So there are guitars and like heavy metal replicas everywhere. Basically, his weapon is an axe, and a guitar is also known as an axe. He's also got his guitar. So, and there's all these demons that are made out of, like, there's always sort of cliche sort of replicants of like musical instruments and shit like that everywhere, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's everything has like some sort of a resemblance to music, and to heavy metal music and hard rock music and all that sort of stuff, and just like everything to do with like sort of gothic heavy metal bogan sort of like feel about it. So punk rock and all that sort of stuff. It's all over it. And there's a lot of famous people in it. Ozzy Osbourne's in it. Lemmy from Motorhead's in it. There's all these famous people in it. Even Tim Curry is in it. He's one of the bad guys. He's in it. So
Tim Curry.
So Tim Curry, he's in it. He's one of the bad guys. And it's a great game. It's got a great ambience. It's one of the most ambient-rich games I've ever played, because it's a huge, beautiful open world, and it's got like this massive heavy metal. And because I'm a big heavy metal fan, of course, I relate to the game so well.
You and me both.
Oh mate, it's a great game. I recommend to anyone, especially if you're a heavy metal fan or a Tenacious D fan or Jack Black fan. I recommend playing the game. It's a great game. I love it. Such a massively ambient game. Unfortunately, I wanted to play it for my YouTube channel 6 months ago, but I realised that I'd get a lot of copyright strikes, because what adds to the ambience is all the heavy metal music that gets played to it, especially when you drive in your car. It plays a radio when you jump in the car. And just like GTA 5, you can't have the radio on when you're in the car in GTA 5, because the music will copyright flag your channel. It's the same thing with this game. So I really, really wanted to play it, but I was going to get copyright strike after copyright strike after copyright strike. Imagine me doing 10 episodes, copyright stricken every single time. Might not even have a channel at the end of it. So so I really wanted to play it, and it's a great game. I recommend to anyone playing it, you give it a go. But the whole point of me discussing this is that Tim Schafer, he has not ruled out a Brutal Legend 2. So, which is a brilliant thing. I mean, if someone announced that Brutal Legend 2 was coming out, I would absolutely cream my pants. I wouldn't be able to sleep. So, look, he says it's still a fair way off, but it's not ruled out. So during a Q&A question at E3, Schafer was asked about the possibility of a sequel to Jack Black's starring action-adventure game. Though Schafer says Double Fine would like to move on to something new first, a sequel may certainly still happen. So that's a fun universe too that I'd love to have back. But now we've been in sequel mode for a few years, and it's been nice to do something new, but never say never. So, mate, I would be absolutely nuts if they did a sequel to Brutal Legend 2, and if it was somehow at least as good as the first one, that would be absolutely insane. And yeah, mate, I mean, that made my hairs tingle. So I plan to do another playthrough of the game, because it's such a great game. It's just, I can't explain just the sort of the the interaction that you have with the game is just so amazing, because you really feel it's one of the very few games that I play where you actually feel like that's you. Do you know what I mean? That's actually you out there. And, or at least Eddie Briggs is like your best mate. You know, you're sort of like, it's almost like as if you are Eddie Briggs, you're him, but then the cutscenes, but you feel like you're there, but you're like one of his mates. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but shit, you know, it's such a great game, and there aren't many games that make you feel like that. I mean, Skyrim was like that for me. Witcher 3 sort of is a little bit like that, not quite, but they make Jareth a really, like, they make his character so pop culture. You know, is such a, you know, he's such a pin-up. So it's hard to interact to be the character of Geralt when he's his own unique character, and you can't compare yourself to him or anything. I mean, not saying people do, but you know what I mean. So, like, when you play as the Dragonborn in Skyrim, you know, you choose your character, you know, you do your character making, you sort of put yourself into the character, and you sort of choose things you got to say. The same thing with Geralt, you choose things you got to say, but you know what I mean. You don't really see. He doesn't have a voice. You don't see him much in third person in conversations or anything like that. So you can still sort of have that interactive value. And it's sort of the same with Eddie Briggs, but you feel the way the story is. You really feel like you're part of the game, which is really, really awesome. That's what I love most about Brutal Legend, you know, as well. So I mean, I'm looking forward to a Brutal Legend 2, and another game that was very similar to that, which I haven't heard if they're going to do a sequel, but a lot of people are signing petitions that they would love a sequel, and that's Jade Empire. Jade Empire 2 would be great as well. So that was like a sort of a linear martial arts game. That was really cool. It was all character based, a bit like Fable. If you can imagine Fable but with martial arts, basically that's the best way to describe it. So yeah, you can be good or bad, you can have all these perks, you can have these weapons, you can have all these different martial arts styles and all that sort of stuff. You know, you go on a big long journey. It's a big story rich game as well, and a lot of twists and turns and all this sort of stuff, and blah 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 blah. So like I said, if you're a big fan of Fable series and you haven't played Jade Empire, I'd recommend that as well. So you know, that's really cool, man. But no, mate, that's topic number 2 from me, buddy. I'd like to hear what else you got, man.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. And Jack Black is a damn legend. He's such a cool dude. I saw the D's and the Foos play one gig here when they both came. Dude, it was so good.
Yeah, man.
So good. Dave Grohl and Jack Black together on stage. Yeah. What more can you say? That's just like rock royalty.
Yeah, man. See, because Grohl drums for Tenacious D every now and then. And all that sort of stuff. He did a bit of drumming for their, you know, for like their self-titled track, and
and he drums for Queens of Stone Age as well, didn't he?
Yeah. So drums for Queens of Stone Age, them Crooked Vultures, and of course everyone knows Nirvana and all that sort of stuff. So you know, he did some drum work. He did drum work with Trent Reznor for Nine Inch Nails and all that sort of stuff. He did drum work for Tenacious D. And of course, I'm sure. Have you seen the movie Pick of Destiny?
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course.
So, because you know that's Dave Grohl as the devil at the end, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. He has a lot to do with Tenacious D and all that sort of stuff. And believe it or not, one of the main producers for Tenacious D, he's kind of like one of the, like, to say he's kind of like one of the. It's not a co-owner. He's one of the main producers, executives of Tenacious D, and like their whole entire franchise with Pick of Destiny and all that sort of stuff. You wouldn't believe what famous Hollywood actor gives them like a lot of money. You know, does a lot of like investments, a lot of stocks and shares and all that with Tenacious D. You wouldn't believe who's like. He's also like one of their biggest fans.
Who's that?
It's oh god, I've got another bloody mental break. What's his name? The comedian, you know, in Zoolander. What's his name?
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. Yeah.
Wow.
He's even in some of his video clips. If you watch Tenacious D and Tribute, right at the end where they're sort of running around the shopping mall because they've just got out that little sound booth thing, all the people that are walking past sort of shaking their heads, going, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" One of them's him.
Oh shit! I never put 2 and 2 together. I remember the D being in the Foo Fighters videos. That's Learn to Fly.
Yeah, man.
When they're getting stoned on the plane.
yeah. No, so Ben Stiller's at the end of the clips, and of course Ben Stiller's in Tenacious D Pick of Destiny as the owner of the music store. So
he is too.
It's Ben Stiller, the guy that's like, you know, telling about, don't talk about it, come in here, come sit down. He's telling all about.
He was too, yeah, he was.
Satanas,
and Meatloaf was Jack Black's dad, wasn't he? Meatloaf?
Yeah, at the start of the movie, and Brian James Dio's in there as well, and all that sort of stuff. So, a lot of people, turn up with that, in that movie and does some pretty cool shit. So yeah, great movie. Big fan, huge fan of the whole Tenacious D thing. So, but man, that's topic number 2.
All right. I'm gonna keep rolling with it. The fan make for a free-to-play Super Mario Battle Royale is damn good. I haven't yet to play it. I've seen some videos. You said you were to jump in it. I mean, the Battle Royale genre these days is pretty much, when you hear it, you always think of PUBG and Fortnite, as well as others. It's not really my scene. Tetris 99 did it as well, and it showed that it can also be successful in completely unexpected ways, and that's what Mario Royale has done. It's a fan-made free-to-play online game which has multiple players all playing one level at the same time. You want to know how many people can play at the same time? 75 people in one level of Mario, which is randomly selected from the original NES game Super Mario Brothers, and it's just a race to the flagpole. But getting there is quite the challenge. Cool thing is you can get items, and if you get the star, obviously it makes you invincible. You can go back and annihilate all the other people playing Mario to take them out. It's completely and utterly mad. It looks insane, and I am really keen on maybe even recording a video myself in this just to see where I get. I'd say I'm a pretty avid Mario player. I claim myself as the Australian king of retro gaming. I'm gonna dub myself that. So I'll give it a go. I would say get around it now, guys. You just type in Mario Royale and it will pop up. Get on it, because Nintendo will probably take it down. In saying that, they didn't take down Unfair Mario, so hopefully this might stick around. Funny thing is that the guys that created it actually put a rather humorous loading screen into the game. It actually comes up and says, "Please don't sue me, please," when it loads up. So it's all in good fun. 75 people in one world. Oh boy, wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't it be funny if we did it at the same time?
It would be hilarious. It's funny you say that, because I actually saw a YouTuber, Dashy Games. I highly doubt that he'd be listening to this at all. I mean, we have more of a chance of winning the lottery for that to happen, instead of, for Dashy to listen to this whole entire podcast and listen to this actual little segment 45 minutes in. But I've watched him play it, and it was great, because he's a massive Nintendo fan. He plays more Nintendo on his channel than anything else. And so he was playing it last night. I thought, this ain't a bad little idea, and I had a quick look at it, and sure enough, there it was. And I had a quick go at it, plugged my controller in. Unfortunately, I've got a DS4 controller, and it does have control support. Control support was a little bit off. It only worked with my analog stick, and R1 was to run and L1 was to jump, so that was extremely awkward, but it works. That's exactly it. I had a quick go at it, and that's exactly right. You got to run from point A to point B. You got to go through the whole stage and try and be one of the last ones to survive, and you do get a star. You can kill other players and all that sort of stuff. The physics of the game isn't quite one for one compared to the original Mario. The stage is definitely skinned identical to what you would say with the stages, which is really cool. However, there are some little sort of flaws, like for example some of the mushroom stages where you've got like it's kind of like those elevator things, but it's like the seesaw ones where you would jump on one, it's attached to the rope and it's attached to another one, so like the two platforms, and they can move up and down sort of thing. Not the ones that move by themselves, but the ones that you'll jump on, and because you're on it, it will start moving down, and you jump to the other one. So they don't move in it. And it sort of feels Mario doesn't jump as high as what he can, but that's probably just me. I don't really play Mario as often. Someone that plays Mario regularly would pick up the flaws in it straight away. But yeah, the stages are random. You go through 4 stages, and the 4th one is usually Bowser's Castle, and you've just got to get to the end and sort of jump over Bowser, hit the axe, and it's the top 3. The top 3 win, basically. So there's a first, second, and third place, and anyone does still survive at the end. They continue after they jump over Bowser. They sort of continue through automated, and they end up falling into lava. So so it's all automated. So it starts off at 75. There might be a handful of people left at the end of the castle. You just got to try and win. So it was it's definitely a great concept, man. I did enjoy the little bit I played last night. But yeah.
Yeah, it's good fun, and like I was saying to you before, I have an NES controller to USB, so I wonder if that will work for controller support, and I'll feel very authentic.
Yes, it will. I'll bring back my old Super Mario days when I was like 5 years old. So.
I still have my NES with my Super Mario cartridge, although I did get that later in life because I started on the Super Nintendo, but still a damn good game. Still a damn good game.
Yeah, I remember being 4 years old. 4 years old, my old man brings that thing home, and started seeing my sister and my mum started playing it, and they were mucking about on it, and I was like, I'll start playing it. So I did. So I started off with a Commodore 64 when I was like 3, and I knew how. No shit. I'm like 3 years old, and I knew how to put one of those big black floppy disks in, and I knew how to type star load, star run, and all that sort of stuff, star exe, .exe, and all that sort of stuff. And if run wouldn't work, you do .exe, and you'd find what you had to type in. And I'm like 3.5 years old, and I'm typing all this stuff in to get a game working on the Commodore 64.
Dude, so, I've actually priced a Commodore 64.
Have you?
I have. I have a Commodore 64 custom controller sitting behind me that someone's made out of wood. Yeah, dude, I literally priced a Commodore 64 the other day. And I said, is it working? Because bloody Facebook Marketplace, man, they don't know what they're getting rid of. One of them wanted to get rid of it for $50. I was like, oh, yes, I don't have one of them. So, old Commodore might be coming in here. Although I probably wouldn't use it. I just have it set up behind me for nostalgia reasons. But, yeah, the old Commodore 64.
That's pretty awesome, man. My cousin's got like 3 of them. He's got 3 Commodore 64s. He's got 2 A500s. He's got 2 A1200s. He's got another Amiga in there somewhere. So, yeah, man, he's held right into his whole gaming retro stuff. He's always been a massive collector. He's got thousands of Amiga games and Commodore games, and he's sold like thousands of them as well over like the last 15 years. He sells them on eBay all the time. But yeah, man,
Crazy.
it's
not easy to come by.
Yeah, mate, it's the old days of gaming just can't be compared with, mate. I mean, I just remember those great days of playing on the Amiga, and I remember checking out a lot of, like, even the covers of the games. Just the covers
were so much better, weren't they?
Mate, the artwork that you get on the covers of games back in the late 80s, early 90s, I remember going to the video game stores with my dad and with my cousin, and we used to just sit there and just stare at game covers all the time because the artwork was just immersively breathtaking. Just how just you'd get lost. And I remember I used to just sit on my bed and just look at game covers because I used to like make stories up in my head just looking at these game covers and stuff. It was just amazing, and and like I said, back in those days you couldn't really do the kind of advertising that you would do these days.
No way.
So if you really think about it, game companies had to literally rely on their game cover to sell the game. So of course they had to try and tell like a whole story of a game.
Some of the animated artwork though was damn fucking good. It's just people obviously just drew it.
Yeah, man.
God damn, they were talented. Games like Call of Duty and Battlefield now don't really need cover art anymore because you kind of know what it's about. So they don't really need to sell as hard. Although there is such thing as YouTube ads now for games and Twitch and other places. So it's not too bad, but people are lazy with cover arts these days.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it doesn't 100%. Compare.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people said that the same thing with the CD Projekt Red one. It's just so... It's the Cyberpunk. It's just the Cyberpunk's a yellow background and a guy, and people are like, oh, it's a bit lazy with that, but it's like, who cares? These days, no one really cares about cover art. I mean, like I said, I remember back in the days where you had full instruction manuals, in your games. They're just big, thick books, basically like little mini playthroughs in the instruction manuals. These days, you don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Yeah, man, big time. Good times indeed.
I've still got my old SNES and 64 boxes with the manuals and everything. Never threw them out. I flat packed them. I took them apart, and as a kid opening, you normally rip into them and shit. I didn't do that. I kept them in pristine condition and folded them and flat packed them, and they're in very good condition. I got them valued, and some people were saying these are actually not just in good condition, these are in pristine condition, with 80% of them. The other ones are in very good condition. So I'm now going, do I sell my boxes or do I keep them? But I'm thinking of just trying to scope out places and getting the cheap cartridges and then selling them in the boxes as a full pack, because the box and the manual are worth more than the game if it's a complete set. So
yeah.
And I don't want to give away my ones from when I was a kid. You know, those games are mine. I'm not trading them off.
Yeah.
They're mine. Alright then, I think let's offer the Mario topic onto your next one, otherwise we'll get too carried away.
Yes, that's alright. But my last two topics are pretty short and sweet anyway, mate. So
yeah, so are mine. So you go for your two, I'll just go my two.
Alright, cool, mate. You reckon do my two at the same time? You reckon? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, if they're only short, yeah, because I've only got two little honourable mentions that are very, very short, and then I'll... Yeah.
Oh, sounds good. Alright, so as I mentioned before, a little bit more on The Last of Us 2, but don't get your knickers in a twist. It's got nothing to do with the release date being announced. Unfortunately, it has a lot to do with the release date, but not being announced officially. Basically, it's you can probably confirm, it's been confirmed that The Last of Us 2 will come to PS4. So that means that it will definitely be this year. It's most likely about 90%. People are 90% certain it will come out this year, which is really, really cool. But basically, what he's saying is that he was joking about there being no release date. People can only really confirm about Last of Us 2 coming out this year, like I said, coming to PS4. But he put a quote up on Twitter and he says, "For your information, every time someone asks me for the release date of the game, it gets pushed back by 5 minutes." So, and of course, everyone responded asking, like 2,000 people asked, "When's the release date?" So, so basically, that was pretty funny to hear. So, look, it's like I said, it's the internal release date is February 2020, but people think it's going to be, this year as well. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, anywhere, in my opinion, anywhere between October to February. I mean, that's a pretty big window. Anywhere between October and February, I'm thinking December. But because like I said, I heard about a month ago that they were wrapping up. They're on the final stages, so they have to do. I know they're still got to do. I mean, they're in testing stages now, but they still have pre-alpha and alpha and all that sort of stuff. So, but I think they can move it fast if they really needed to and if they really wanted to. I mean, it's now 6 years, 7 years in the making, more or less. So. Or since last.
At this point, get it out.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people wouldn't. I reckon. I mean, they can't fuck it up, to be honest. So, it's. I know that Nel Druckman is definitely one of the very few true artists out there that doesn't care about your opinion, doesn't care about your hate. He cares about his game, and he cares about his game being the best game ever. So. He is the kind of guy that does listen to feedback, but he's just so authentically. A lot of people call him the surgeon because he's just so precise with his gaming. He doesn't put a foot wrong, this guy. So, I mean, just look at the Uncharted series. Last of Us, so on and so forth. So, he doesn't put a foot wrong. I mean, that none of those games have never got any kind of bad reputation of all being buggy or being broken or being this or being that. They never really did. So. And because the games are always just so clean, so he's definitely, like I said, if he says that it needs to be this release date to make sure it's perfect, then okay, I'll wait. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for this year, but God, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And of course, my second thing I'll talk about as well, which is also to do with Sony as well. Rumor has it that Sony is now in preparations for the next God of War. So it's been noted as God of War 2, which is weird because the last God of War was God of War 4, but it sounds like it's a sequel to God of War 4. So it sounds like Atheus, or whatever his name is, the son, it's going to be something to do with that. So maybe you might play as the son, or play a lot as the son more, or I don't know, something like that. But so Sony Santa Monica is hard at work on the God of War sequel that is probably coming to PS5. We've found more evidence suggests that this is indeed the case anyway. So Sony's at the moment hiring people that have God of War experience. So it looks like they're starting to sort of get into development and bits and pieces and around the boardroom ideas and brainwaves and brainstorms of how they're going to do the next God of War and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty exciting stuff for God of War fans, knowing that's going to be developed and that might be about another 3 years away or something like that. But for the last God of War to win Game of the Year, there's definitely got to be high hopes for the next God of War as well, and definitely exciting stuff. So of course, as always, God of War will be exclusive to PlayStation. Which is great news for Sony with the success on God of War and the next God of War. So I'm not surprised that they want to still strike while the iron is hot with their God of War series. So that doesn't surprise me at all. So they'll make a great game. They'll get it going good, and it'll come out as a good game. And so that's like I said, that's good, exciting stuff. That and The Last of Us 2, I want to hear a release date, which would be great.
Oh God, yes.
So that were really, really good. So, man. But that's pretty much everything I have to talk about tonight. All I got left is my honourable mentions. And do you feel old yet?
Yeah. So, and have the honourable mentions, is that your list of E3?
That's right, mate. One of my honourable mentions is the 10 most pre-ordered games since E3, and another honourable mention is something small in Apex Legends.
All right, cool. Well, Alright, well, first of all, I just got Kara to agree to wanting to watch me play through The Last of Us because she never saw the story. So that is on the cards.
She'll do like a reaction.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'll play it for the channel, I'm not sure yet. But she definitely wants to go through the game. I sold the story to her and she goes, I'll watch you play. I've been playing Shadow of Memories on the PS2, which is a game she had as a kid, making me play. That's an interesting kind of time warp game. It's very out there. I'll say my little honourable mentions, and then I'll throw it back to you, and we'll finish up on our worst games. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good, mate.
Alright, cool. So, my honourable mention, Andy O'Neill from Blue Point Games, who was a developer of the Metroid Prime games, has passed away at age 47.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so in the 90s he worked for Acclaim on the likes of Turok, Rage Wars, and he also worked on the Metroid Prime trilogy. He's also done God of War, Metal Gear Solid, Uncharted, Shadow of Colossus, and a few more stuff. And they've come out and said, we're sad to announce the passing of one of our founders, Andy O'Neill. Andy was key in the formation of Blue Point Games, and his engineering prowess helped catapult a tiny two-person studio to where we are today. He wasn't afraid of a challenge, drove us to undertake difficult projects, and we always exceeded the expectations with him. So, and his contributions to the gaming industry will never be forgotten, and we are saddened by his passing, but grateful that he was always part of us here at Blue Point. So, yeah, sad news for Andy and Blue Point. You never like to hear people passing. It's never good news. So that sucks, but Metroid is a very well-known franchise, and he really turned the modern Metroid games around. So that sucks as well. My other honorable mention is we're happy to announce the release of Just Dance 2020, aren't we?
Awesome.
We are, and the reason why is it's been announced for the Nintendo Switch, the PS4, the Xbox One, the upcoming Google Stadia, as well as a release on the Nintendo Wii. Yes, I said that, Nintendo Wii. 13 years after the console. has come out, and they are releasing Just Dance 2020 on the Nintendo Wii. What the fuck? Anyway, for those people that want to get a hold of a Wii, I've got about 6 of them. So if you want to buy Just Dance 2020, hit me up. Buy a Wii off me. Can go with your nice Just Dance 2020.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a bit of fun. But yeah, what the hell? A new game being released on the Wii. Who says old consoles are dead, huh? Anyway. Yeah, I'm keen for that game. We all are, I think. So anyway, I'll leave it to your honourable mentions.
Yeah, cool, dude. No, it's definitely a very sad day for the gaming industry, the whole gaming world. Of course, one of the biggest gaming developers of our age passing is definitely very sad, mate. Don't like to hear things like that, but death is life.
47 is young.
Very young. Can't believe that. But yes, all right, mate. So first honourable mention is Apex Legends. So Respawn coming into their second season of Respawn competitive modes and all that sort of stuff. With Apex Legends competitive modes and all that sort of stuff. They're dropping hints of what Season 2 might anticipate. Right now, people are starting to see dragons fly around in the air with their squad mates' death boxes, and you can see a dragon, and you'll see this dragon fly over the top of you, and it'll have a death box, and you can shoot it out of the sky, and the death box will drop in front of you, and you can loot the death box. So a lot of people are like, what the hell is going on with this shit? Where the hell are these dragons coming from? People are saying that, are they going to start introducing animals where you can ride around on in the game to get from point A to point B? So the concept of the game isn't really fluent when it comes to vehicles, but something like animals, you can fly from point A to point B temporarily, would be a pretty cool thing in itself. So I don't know what direction they're going with that, but I thought that was a pretty cool thing. I haven't played Apex for a few weeks now. I've been meaning to get back into it because I do enjoy playing it, but just finding some people to play with regularly, I suppose. But then again, like I said, as I always say, Rocket League just takes up so much of my time. It's my first priority, and it's my last priority. It's the first thing I play, and then I'll play it for like 2.5, 3 hours straight, and then I'll play something else for an hour, and then usually I'll play it for about another half an hour before I go to bed or something like that. That's just because it's just taken over my life. So that's really cool. That's a really cool little interesting fact that's going on at the moment. A lot of people are excited about it. And next honourable mention that I want to talk about is the 10 most pre-ordered games after E3. Now, as I said,
excited for this.
Well, as a disclaimer, I do want to mention that you will not expect the order of this list. I mean, if you quickly went through your head what games are released and what people you'd think would be excited for to hear, all right, quickly, let's start pre-ordering with the E3 code or something like that. I don't know, blah. I don't know how it all works. But when I saw this list, I was like, that can't be right. That honestly cannot be right, especially number one. So
I'm predicting a really, really high score for the new Pokemon Sword and Shield, is it? I'm predicting a very high spot for that.
Well, you might be right, or you might be wrong. You'll just have to wait and see. So a couple of these are
I'm thinking that will be in 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Okay. I'm going to take a stretch and say 1.
Okay, so a couple of these games are definitely sort of like roundabout where they should be, but there's definitely a couple of games, bloody hell, really shouldn't. So it makes you think, did they really start pre-orders from the end of E3? Because that just doesn't really make sense. So, but then again, a couple of the game that's number one is definitely highly anticipated. But I also heard that there was going to be crap. I also heard it was going to be crap as well. It's like just something about it. Apparently, it's already gotten low reviews already. So, yeah. So it's just really strange. But anyway, so the 10 most pre-ordered games after E3, coming in at number 10 is Crash Team Racing. Coming in at number 9,
is that for Switch?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, cool. Alright.
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
I think it's coming out everywhere else.
Number 9 is Super Mario Maker number 2. Number 8 is Gear 5. So I'm not sure what I can't think of what Gear 5 isn't coming into my head for some reason. I keep thinking Gears 5, and is that Gears of War? But I'm probably wrong on that one, so not sure.
I've not heard of it. If it is Gears of War, I know it, but I've never heard of just Gears.
But in a bit of a shock of number 7, but at the same time, I'm sort of not surprised, because EA is, every time something else happens, EA always serves, and that's number 7 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I thought that would have been a little bit higher. But then again, with the rest of them, you can see the same, but sort of not. It's weird. So number 7 was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Number 6 was Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. And number 5 was Borderlands 3. That's sort of around about where I thought it was. Number 4 was definitely a shock. Number 4 is Cyberpunk, and I thought I couldn't believe that when I saw that. I was like, there's absolutely no way that could be number 4, but whatever. Again, another shock. Final Fantasy number 7 remake. A lot of people anticipated Final Fantasy number 7, but it's just a remake. Okay, whatever.
Well, look at Link's Awakening. That's a remake.
Yeah, so this is true.
That's why Nintendo are doing things right, because they're just remaking old games and it's selling.
Yes, this is true. So, well, that's the funny thing, mate, because all we got left is number 2 and number 1. And funny you mentioned about the remake, because number 1's actually a remake. So number 2 is Pokemon Sword and Shield, as you predicted, and number 1 is the fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare remake. So, game that came out 10 years ago, they're remaking that, and that's already got the most pre-orders. And I'm like, well, Jesus Christ. Yeah, right.
I mean, yeah.
Over Cyberpunk. I'm like, over Cyberpunk? Yeah, righto, whatever. But, whatever. I've been surprised before. But anyway.
Oh, there's a lot of Nintendo on that list.
Yeah, which is good. Which is definitely good. Anticipation of Nintendo is definitely on the rise, mate. So, growing.
To be honest, I think after E3, Super Mario Maker 2 is probably down because people pre-ordered that months ago. Because that comes out in this month, so I'm not surprised that's low.
Yeah, that's right. And plus, I heard that Nintendo's E3 conference was pretty amazing. So that doesn't surprise me. There's a few extra, like Pokemon Sword and Shield, being number 2. That doesn't surprise me with the way that they presented themselves. I mean, Pokemon Sword and Shield deserves to be at least number 2. So with the way they present themselves. So. Well,
I guarantee if they actually did do pre-orders for the sequel for Breath of the Wild, that would be up there too. Everyone went mad for Breath of the Wild.
And now that I think about it, if they did gameplay demos for people for Cyberpunk, because they only did like private stuff and only just for people to watch, if they did interactive demos, then maybe Cyberpunk might have been a little bit higher. So. Who knows, man? Who knows? But yeah, man, that's my honorable mentions. Would like to hear comments below what you think of that list. That would be a really cool little thing for us to talk about in the comments. Yeah. And of course, all I have left to talk about is, do you feel old yet? So, have you got anything else to add, mate, before I do you feel old yet?
Yeah, I've got what happened today in gaming.
Yeah, mate. Did you want to do that?
Yeah, it's just a quick one. 20 years ago, so 1999. It's funny you mentioned Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, because that came out today 20 years ago. Crash Team Racing.
So I was 14. I remember when that came out.
I only just played it this year. I literally picked up the game, I would say 3 months ago. I never played Crash. I'm brand new to Crash. You saw my video the other day because you commented on my YouTube video of me playing Crash. That was my first time ever playing Crash Bandicoot.
That's right. I remember.
Weird. All right, make me feel old.
All right, mate. Well, if you would like to feel old, I shall tell you on old feeling of feeling old. That's old. So no, look.
Got my walking stick. I'm ready.
Yeah. So 1988. So 30.
I was -1.
Yeah. I like it. So 31 years ago today was the release of the arcade 2D scrolling top-down arcade shooter World War II setting game 1943. So it was actually, when I was a little boy, one of my favourite arcade games to play, and it was one of the classic tabletop ones as well. That along with like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, the old sit-down tabletop ones, not the stand-up cabinets. So that 1943 came out on a stand-up cabinet as well. But in the old 80s, where you'd sit in a little pizza shop, there'd be the old tabletop arcade, usually 1943, would be there. So because it was a good thing, because it was a top-down 2D scrolling, and it was where you're like a World War II Spitfire, and you're shooting all the planes that are coming down from the screen on all different angles and all these bullets, and you're trying to fly around. You upgrade your weapons and wings and all that sort of stuff, and you take down the big bombs, and that's really cool. And if you died, your mate who's on the opposite side of the table, the screen would flip upside down so he could see it from his end. You know what I mean? That was cool. Yeah. I remember that happening. I was like, how does it do that? How does it know that he's there? Whoa! Yeah, this is magic! Yeah! So that was great. So that's definitely, so that's 31 years ago. So that came out when I was like 4. So, yeah, man, that's definitely a really cool thing. And that does make me feel old, because I used to love playing that when I was a kid. I sucked at it, but it was one of the main games I really liked playing. So
you don't need to be good at games to enjoy them.
No, but that's exactly it, man. That's exactly it, buddy.
We can suck and still be entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, that's our job. We'll try.
A bit like me on this podcast. I sucked, but I'm entertaining.
Mate, we both suck. We both suck and low.
Why are we doing this?
We are a wet and dry vac of the future. So yeah, we do both, mate. We're terrible.
Alright, talking about terrible, it leaves us to our last 5 worst video games we've ever played.
Yeah, speaking of terrible.
Everything on a high note here.
So, mate, what are your 5 worst games that you've played that you think you don't see yourself playing again?
Alright, should we go one for one?
Alright,
let's go one for one. I don't know which of these games are the shittest, so I can't number them. I don't know if this is the order they're in, or...
So what? So you think you can order from not from shit, but less shit than the most shit?
Oh, I can try my best.
So you can go from shit to really shit to super shit to mega shit to ultra shit.
I can get close. Alright. I'll try and do it. Some of these might not be in the right order, but I'll get close to it as I can. Okay. I'll start off the list with my number 5. Super Nintendo. Mario is Missing. Why this game was fucking a game, I don't know. I can find him by popping into another game, is the best way to put this. If I wanted to find Mario, I just put on another game. I mean, I could name one thing that is missing from that game, and that is fun. It is fucked. You know, that's all I can say. Mario is Missing is awful. Awful. Alright, go for yours.
Alright. Well, one of the shittiest games I've played, and like I said, in disclaimer, these might be games that other people enjoyed. These might not necessarily got bad ratings, but these are games that I thought, Jesus Christ, what am I playing this for? This is terrible. I just can't get into this. This is crap. Blah blah blah. Like I said, a lot of these games took off. There's a couple of these games that actually took off, but I've just gone, I just can't play this. How the fuck do you play this game? This game's shit. So number 5 for me is the first Witcher. So I played through a bit of the Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 before I played Witcher 3. Witcher 2 is a big jump compared to Witcher 1. Witcher 3 is a massive jump compared to Witcher 1. And what doesn't help is I did play a little bit of Witcher 3 before I played the other 2 Witchers. That doesn't help at all. So Witcher 1, it's an old game. It only released on PC. It never released on console. You can only play it on keyboard and mouse. The storyline was good, but that was only the good thing about it. So it's pretty rough around the edges. It was mainly the combat. The combat animation was terrible, and how you would combat is that it was like a timing thing. So you'd press your mouse to attack. It was kind of it was almost like a turn-based system, but it wasn't. So you'd press your mouse to attack, but you also had to press the mouse again when a bar would go up and it would flash. It would your attack button would flash, and then you have to press the mouse again at that time, and you have to do it in a sequence, in a combination, to get a full combination to get the most power out of it. And if you fucking fucked it, then you fucked it. So and trying to move around and attack, because he wouldn't exactly move and attack at the same time. It wasn't the controls weren't so the combat just wasn't fluent. So I mean, I've seen worse, but it's not like the game was. It's like the game complemented bad stuff, but the really bad, fighting sequence just
some just suck.
Yeah, it was
suck.
Yeah, it was just something about. It's just something about Witcher 1 I just couldn't get into. I was like, this is really bad, really terrible, and the whole entire overwhelming thing of the Witchers has always sort of counterstruck me. But Witcher 1 was extremely overwhelming, along with all these potions that you got to make and all this stuff you got to do, and the combat was really bad, and the story was alright. I mean, and just the whole repetitive thing of Gerald always saying, lost my memory, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, but that's number 5 for me.
Yeah, I never played Witcher, but to be honest, I couldn't judge on that. The only thing I am going to really, really judge is my next game, and it is called, you probably never heard of this, and I don't blame you if you haven't. I got it put in front of me once to play. It's called the Bronchiosaurus. You're probably wondering, what the fuck is that? It's like a side-scroller educational game where you play as a dinosaur with asthma.
You're right.
If I wanted to learn about fucking asthma, I'd just visit my local doctor. I don't want to play about it. I already have enough torment dealing with asthma to want to learn about it when I relax. What the fuck? What in the fuck? Why would you even think about creating that? Like, why would you? Like, why is that even a thing?
Yes, I don't know.
And who put the effort into creating that?
I don't know.
Fucking awful.
It's a bit like the next game that that I'm going to talk about, and number 4 for me would be Midnight Club. So I played a little bit of Midnight Club, and I just couldn't get into it because Need for Speeds and Burnouts, Burnout 3 and Burnout Paradise and all that sort of stuff were like at the top of their game, especially Need for Speed, Gran Turismo. All these great games are out, and then Midnight comes out. And I mean, Midnight Club might have been slightly better than Project Gotham, but I never played Project Gotham. I mean, I heard a lot of bad things about Project Gotham. It was a terrible game. So, so Midnight Club. What really put me off about it was the weight shifting. I just couldn't believe it. You turn a corner and you could shift your weight to make the car turn better, almost like it was kind of like Mario Kart. And I was like, this is so... And when you'd shift the car, it was so unrealistic. The whole car would like move, So a little 80 kilo guy would go and knock his shoulder against the window and it'd make the car like slide out sideways. And it's like, this is so unrealistic. It's not funny. So I thought, this is crap. And the fact that every single map is nighttime, really sort of just go, what the fuck is this shit? So I played like 2 hours of it and stopped. So Midnight Club. Number 4 for me.
Alright. Oh, Jesus. Okay, on the list of really, really shit games, number 3 for me is a strong contender. Going to the N64. That was Superman: The New Adventures.
You're right.
Have you ever played it?
No.
You think a Superman game would be so good? You're like, oh, Superman, I can take, Superman's cool. He's, the superhero vibe going on, and, you can imagine any superhero game would be damn cool because, you can fly around, you're strong, you can throw people, save the world. That's what Superman's all about. No, you fly through rings.
You're right.
I mean, it is widely known as pretty much everyone who has ever tried it has been considered the worst ever game of all time. It's just horrific. Literally, you are in this shit kind of very, very shittily rendered Superman that looks like he's made of cardboard, and you just fly through rings on a timer. Yeah. Just... It's amazing. It's by far the most amazing game I've ever seen in my life, for all the wrong reasons. So I can't really say much more about it. I can't even say anything good nor anything bad. So that's why it's middle of my list, because it's just why was this created?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yes. All right. Well, that moves on to my number 3. So it wouldn't surprise me if you never really heard of this game. It didn't really get much publicity. It didn't really take off. Not many people really. I never really heard of anyone ever play it. I mean, no one really ever really talks about it. Never really saw it in magazines or anything like that. Number 3 was a game called True Crime. Ever heard of that one?
No.
So imagine, you know, in GTA 5, you're like a really bad guy, usually like a drug dealer, and you know, and you kill people and you steal cars and all this sort of stuff. Can you imagine Grand Theft Auto, but you're a good guy? In fact, you're not just a good guy, you're a cop. So,
Okay.
So that's basically True Crime, and the concept just didn't work because you could be bad in the game. You could be bad in the game. You could kill anyone. You could steal cars. You can throw people out of cars. So you're kind of like a good cop, bad cop, and your job was to find criminals and stop criminals and all that sort of stuff. And the concept in itself was alright, but the way the gameplay came out just wasn't there. It just because it was too easy and almost second nature to be bad and keep making mistakes than it was to be good. So you end up making yourself, you end up making everything redundant and constantly contradicting yourself by shooting 70-year-old grannies out of their car in their head, point blank range, to take their car to go catch a criminal who just shot someone at point blank range to steal their car. So it just wasn't working. So it just wasn't right. So quick, he's getting away. Go after him. Righto.
Quick, shoot the granny.
So you pull out your fucking shotgun, shoot some granny in the head to steal a car, to go kill a guy, to go catch a guy that just killed a granny to steal a car. So it just wasn't there. It just didn't do it. So, and it was on the back. I mean, this game was released, I think, in 2000, and I think it was released in like 2001, 2002, and I think we already had Grand Theft Auto. Probably arguably the greatest Grand Theft Auto of all time. I think that was Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I think that just been released not long before. I think I'm probably wrong on that one. I mean, that was a benchmark in open world gaming. Vice City, I think it was Vice City, or was it Liberty City? I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. So yeah, man, it's yeah, people like. I
want to play that game now
because of how bad it is. Yeah, True Crime. Search it up, mate. Check out some YouTube channels and that. But like I said, some guy would shoot an old granny, steal a car. So you'll be like, "Oh, I'll shoot this old granny, steal her car to go stop that guy." So, yeah, man. So, yes. So that's my number 3. True Crime.
Shooting grannies. What console is that?
I played it on the original Xbox.
Oh, okay, cool. I got to track one of them down anyway, so yes. I actually might have a working one. I don't know. I've got to find out. My 2 and my 1, it's hard to separate these two. It really is. Because they're both equally as shit, kind of for similar reasons. Number 2, Rise of the Robots. Have you heard of Rise of the Robots? You're a cyborg, right? Now, what's happened is there's a certain cyborg that's been reprogrammed to kind of take you down and kind of run a company all for the wrong reasons, as kind of like a killer kind of robot, just to cause destruction. It sounds pretty cool. You're like a cyborg and you've got to kind of take him down and kill off that robot. It sounds damn cool to begin with. But here's the thing about this game. I'm going to give a number of flaws. Although the glossy rendered images make the 7 different warriors truly remarkable, yes, that's right, there's only 7 of them, the actual playability of the game suffers, including the fact of, as the player, you cannot turn around. So, your cyborg is so intelligent and knows what the fuck to do, but can't turn the fuck around. It makes no sense. Not to mention, if you just jump kick the opponent in the corner, you just wipe the floor with them. So all you need to do is repeatedly jump kick and you're going to win it. Like, literally. It is definitely one of the biggest disappointments of games ever. Not to mention that your guy only has 4 moves, 2 different punches and 2 different kicks that look all kind of like identical, other than the fact one of them's a bit lower. And it's boringly dog shit and very basic and limited. It literally has the choppiest fucking animation. It's a shit infestation, and even when you go to multiplayer, first player can only be the cyborg, while the second player can choose from any other fucking robot they want. So you're instantly, whoever you are as the first player, you have to be the dumbass cyborg that can't turn around. You're screwed from the get-go. It's literally one of the most unappealing fighting games I've ever played. And I had a cartridge of that when I was younger because, bloody hell, my brother wanted to hire that one out because it looked cool. I'll never forget it. We ended up having it in our collection somehow. I think we borrowed it out and then the place shut down and we still had the borrowed cartridge. It probably shut down because it had Rise of the Robots, to be fair. But we ended up with this cartridge and I pulled it out like 2 weeks ago and put it in and went, let's see how bad this thing really is. Oh, it was still just as bad. I just put it to the back of the cupboard again. I was like, why did I get this out? I felt like I needed to have a bath in Dettol. It didn't feel right. I've never wanted to just, I could sell that for a dog biscuit and I'd be happy. And I'd even eat the dog biscuit with happiness. It is that bad. It is really, really that bad.
Dog biscuits and happiness. It sounds like an album name for a heavy metal band.
Rise of the Robots. You want to know the funniest thing is? I put it on and I actually recorded a video in it. How bad it is. So wait till it comes out on the channel and you'll see how good Rise of the Robots is.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Cool.
Okay. You're shooting grannies at point blank range. Sounds like a dream compared to that.
Yeah, man. All right. So I'm gonna go on my number 2, and this is definitely controversial. And it's definitely hugely controversial. So, look, the concept was there. The concept was there, but in my opinion, it just got old really, really quick.
Okay.
And that was the rock bands and the guitar heroes. So, when they first came out, I thought it was a great concept. And the first rock band I played was Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock. And it was cool to play the songs and get into it and have a bit of fun. But it was a party game. You can only play it, you could really only play it with a couple of mates, and a bit of a party and all that sort of stuff. As fun as it was to get a little bit better at the songs, but more or less, it was just that repetitive factor of playing the same things over and over again. Sure, it had a little bit of a story, but more or less all you're doing is playing a song. And yeah, there'd be an extra couple of buttons on it. And don't get me wrong, if you're right into your rock bands, your guitar heroes, and you play all the time, and there are some Guitar Hero pros out there that just go absolutely nuts on playing the game, and good on them. That's great. And then they brought, they've done the thing where one person can go lead guitar, the other person can go bass, and then they did the whole band thing. So they brought in, the
World
microphone.
Tour. The fucking drums and the cymbals would never fucking work.
And when I heard that, I thought that was great. And that's right, the drum kit, the drum kit was terrible. My cousin was a big fan of Rock Band and Guitar Hero. He got his own electronic drum kit that you could plug as a USB, and the PlayStation picked it up and he loved it. He played it all the time, but good on him. He spent thousands of dollars on new songs and all that sort of stuff. So good on him. He loved it. He's like, let's play it. And I was like, nah, man, I just couldn't play. I just couldn't keep playing songs and watch these little buttons go over and over again. I just couldn't get into it. Unless I absolutely loved the song, which was rare as hell. Like I said, it was a party game. And then, like I said, whoever had the idea of having someone fucking sing. So I'm sitting there trying to play this game I don't want to play, and some guy's going, I don't know, and my heart will go on.
Dude, that sounded good compared to what I've heard.
Thanks, mate. So, and so I'm sitting next to this person, the microphone's getting amplified, they haven't got quite the pitch. They have to make a bigger pitch, and then you got someone on the drums, and the drums aren't really working properly, and it was just I don't know. At the start it was a great concept, and it was fun for the first couple of hours. But like I said, party game, switch around with people on the guitar. That's all right. Okay, yeah, sure. One lead, one on bass, blah blah blah, all this sort of stuff. Whatever. But then again, because it was a top-down scrolling thing, you'd always be watching the same spot, and I used to get like motion sickness from playing it.
Yeah, because the background's constantly moving, and the fretboard's going up, and
then you would pull your eyes away from the screen. You'd look at something, and that would be moving. So your floor would be moving, or the poster on the wall would be moving, and that just made me just go, Jesus Christ. So
you know what the hardest thing about it is trying to find a room big enough for 4 people to stand comfortably and actually play.
Yeah, and people want to jump around and headbang and headbutt each other. You're great. So
yeah,
so that
because I used to actually drum, and those drums were so off.
Yeah,
they were so off, and it's like I would always be getting it fucking wrong, because there would be, from a drumming point of view and what I've learned on drums, and I haven't played the drums in years now, but there was beats in there where there should have been beats that just weren't there.
Yeah.
So I'm playing and hitting stuff because I'm timing in with the music because I know the song, but there's just not something there to play. That was the most frustrating thing. If you want to, there's a video, not a video. I think it's only an audio track. It might be a video, somewhere out there of me playing or jamming with a few of my friends playing Van Halen's Panama on the drums, which is out there somewhere in the ether. But playing the drums on that thing, because guitaring wasn't fun for me. I always preferred drums. So when World Tour came out, I was like, yeah, drums, but those cymbals, man, fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
absolute bullshit.
It was the same with me, mate. I mean, I actually play guitar. I've been playing guitar for years. I've stopped the last 18 months or so. I've been playing guitar since I was like 15. But it was the same with me. I enjoyed playing the drums a little bit more. But even then, that got a little bit old. And my cousin, he was really good at it. He had his own electronic drum kit and shit. And I think he used to play it on like the plus mode, like the hardest mode you could possibly play on drums.
Yeah,
and
insane mode.
He got something. I think he got in like the top 1% or 0.8% of high scores for drums for World Tour or something like that. He got really highly ranked. Yeah, like he used to play all the time, and he fucking loved it. Because he's a drummer. Actually, he's actually a drummer. So
nice.
Yeah, so he's been playing drums since he was like 10. And he's got his own drum kit. He's got like a John Bonham Sparkle Green kit all locked away in his shed and all that sort of stuff. So, so it's the same with me. I sort of stopped. He stopped playing drums. I sort of stopped playing guitar a bit. We used to jam all the time. We were going to have our own band going at one stage, but just the commitment rate of it. But yeah, man, Guitar Hero Rock Band for me, mate, was my number 2.
Okay, well, my number 1, drum roll. This is my very
I've got my Rock Band drums.
Yeah, don't hit the cymbals, it won't work. Oh, you could call it an arcade game, you can call it a Sega Genesis or SNES game, pardon me. It's like my body doesn't even want me to say it. It's trying to make me hiccup before I can even say this game. That is Pit Fighter.
Yeah, yes.
You know what I'm talking about. Pit Fighter. Oh, Jesus Christ. What's the best way? It's almost like an underground fighting rink where you beat someone, move on to the next round. The only problem is that you're constantly at a loss. With any health you lose in the first round, you keep down for the next one and the next one. And on the third one, it finally gives you a bit more health. But then on the fourth round, it gives you 2 people to beat in once. And then you keep your health down, I mean, the idea, great. Execution, absolutely appalling. The fact that they use blue screen actors sounds good for 1990 or 1991, but it literally looked like an old car engine that was fucking dying and on the brink of exploding into a million pieces. It just was awful. I'm glad you know what it is. It's just repetitive, doing the same thing over and over again with no real reward. You just get destroyed. And whoever...
They all had different coloured pants. They all just had different coloured pants.
Pretty much so. I mean, you had 3 people to choose from. Buzz, who was just a fucking wrestler with a mullet. Who brings a wrestler to a fighting party? No offense. I've done wrestling. Kato, who was a complete rip-off. I mean, it's who we know who's called Kato and a kickboxer called Thai, and you know he's from Thailand. I mean, how easy is that? I mean, come on, be more creative. But whoever stuck out to the end deserved more than what they got. Because when you won, you got no prize. There was nothing in it. So why the hell would you do it? As far as as far as beat 'em up's concerned, this one just dropped the entire cake, and it dropped it on top of itself. There's some decent beat 'em ups out there, but this one had limited frames of animation, and the scariest thing of all time with this game is the fact that it was actually ranked 27 in the top 50 games on the Sega Mega Drive. What the hell? What the hell? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, if you think about it, Sega really only had about 50 games anyway, so no.
They'd have to have 27 if it came 27. It was just so bad. It was so bad. I'm glad you know what it was. Why was this game even a thing?
You wouldn't believe it if I told you, but it was worse. It was worse on Amiga. Much worse on Amiga. So,
Jesus Christ.
One of my problems was because not only could you move your character from left and right, you can also move your character up and down. And I could never line my character up with my opponent. And I'd go and punch and kick and I'd miss him. But he could punch and kick me back. And I'm like, fuck off. So
here's the worst part as well. Is when you're on the floor, they just jump up and down on you and it just zaps your health. Yes. But you can't do it to them.
No, shit.
It was shit ass. It was the worst game ever.
Yeah, man.
I actually made a Let's Play of it on my channel. Even to this day, it is shorter than my What's Coming Up videos.
Yes. Shocking.
I played it for content's sake, as I like to say, but my god, it was bad.
Yes. Shocking, mate. Shocking. I mean, I was going to mention Street Fighter, the original one, where you had to punch that thing on the arcade. And the harder you punch it, the harder you would punch in the game. That's bad. That was a bad game. That was a terrible game. Bad game. What a bad concept. Oh, punch this really, really hard, and your guy will punch harder. And yeah, great. And like, nah. What a stupid thing. So, in its own way, it's a classic, but you know, it's just whatever. I'm not going to bother mentioning it because it's just bad with itself. But my number one, of course. So now this is not a bandwagon thing. I didn't not like the game because of bandwagon, because I had high hopes for it. I had a lot of high hopes for it, and I liked the game at first. But the more I played it, I sort of saw the more where people were coming from, and just the whole thing behind the whole controversial thing behind it, which just annoyed the shit out of me. But today, it's a great game today, but that's not the point, and it will never be the point. And that's No Man's Sky. So, we've talked about this before, but that has to be one of my worst games of all time that I've played. Because I mean, when I first saw the first 30-second clip, I thought that was great. It was like you're first person, you're exploring, you're moving around, and you're on this nice beach, nice scenery. Then you jump in this thing, you jump in your little starship thing. Then you fly out of the planet, and I'm watching it fly out of the planet through the atmosphere. And I'm like, fuck, this is actually going to leave the planet, and it leaves the planet. And there's another planet right there, and he flies to the planet and he lands on the next planet, and I'm like, this is nuts, this is insane. And I thought, I can't wait for this game to come out. And of course when it came out, it just ended up being the most repetitive piece of shit I'd ever really sort of seen in my life. I played about 25 hours of it. And
what?
Yeah, I played about 25, 30 hours of it. And people have played 50, 60, 100 hours, and people are still going, what is the point of this game? There's no people were like, I think I've gotten to the center of the universe. You know, so people are going, I think I've gotten to the center of the galaxy. People are going, no, you need to get to the center of the universe. No, I need to get to the center of the galaxy. And it's like, so what are we doing? You know, so people are going from planet to planet. All you do is mine elements and sell them. The odd person will come out and try and steal your shit. You blow them up. Upgrade your shit. Planet. Yeah, you could name every planet. I mean, I even got to a point where I was naming the planets, and I've gone, fuck it. I went out, I was sitting there, I was naming planets, and because I was on a PS4, it was a pain in the ass to name planets. So I went out and brought myself a little portable Bluetooth keyboard. So I had this keyboard that I would attach to my fucking PlayStation, so I could name all these planets and shit, and that got really fucking old and repetitive really, really quickly. Just like, you can name anything and everything you touch, and it's like, yeah, you kind of run out of poopy doop McDoop really quickly. So and then you'd get there and you got to explore and you got to find things, and you'd find things and you'd learn alien languages to help you translate, so you could buy and sell stuff better and all this sort of stuff. But it was just, the things you need to find was like needles in a haystack. There was no direction. Sean Murray was saying you can do this in the game, you can do that in the game, but you couldn't. And then I'm exploring around and all that sort of stuff, and then I discovered there was more stuff to explore underwater. I'm like, well, for fuck's sakes. So
I have to turn this back on now.
and then you'd land on a planet and you'd get out and you're like dying instantly because there's like acid and air restrictions and shit like that. You're like, for fuck's sakes. So all this sort of stuff, and then the whole thing where it was 100% multiplayer. It was all online or something like that, and Sean Murray goes, the chances of you running into someone else was next to nothing, and then 2 people ran into each other in the first 24 hours, but they couldn't see each other. And then the people were like, what the fuck's going on? And they had proof, they had pictures to prove it, they had screenshots to prove that they were in the same area, but they couldn't see each other. And they've gone, what the fuck, Sean Murray? And Sean Murray just replied with a Twitter, the fact that 2 people found each other online has blown my mind. And he didn't respond to anything else. He didn't say why they couldn't see each other and all that sort of stuff. So like I said, arguably No Man's Sky is one of the worst games, if not the worst game I've played to this date. I don't plan to reboot it. I mean, they've made the concepts. Yeah, they've made the concept a little bit better with like base building, and then now there's factions and there's a bit more interactive multiplayer that you can play with your mates a bit more now and all that sort of stuff. Sure, it's a bit better, but it doesn't really make an excuse of what they did at the start. So the concept was there. They really had an opportunity to make a great game, but they fucked it really badly, right in the arse, with a 10-foot pole that's been sitting in a fucking fire pit for about 100 years. So that is my number one, No Man's Sky.
Oh, dude. I mean, there's probably a ton more games we haven't thought of that bad. Yeah. But, there are some real shockers out there. And there's so many that are probably up online that we've just not even found because they're not worth the time.
Well, that's it. Don't get me wrong. There are shit games out there. There are games that are just shit. They're just terrible. They're like unplayable or just shit. But to say that's just easy. That's like kicking a dog while it's down. It's just, you might as well get a game that people have played or that have a player base, but you just go, come on, this is a bad game. Come on, admit it. This is a bad game. So
it's like for me, the patience for Minecraft's not there. Everyone loves it, but I don't really rate it myself.
Yeah, I mean you can't really say that that's a bad game because you'd just be considered a hater that way. So because as much as you want to hate Fortnite, but you can't really say you hate Fortnite and that's a bad game, it's the worst game ever. It's because it's not, and you just feel like you're on a hate bandwagon. Therefore people will think that your opinion is redundant, null and void, and people won't have respect for your opinion. So sure, if suddenly this podcast went viral, which it won't, I would probably get a lot of hate. I'd get a lot of hate for Guitar Hero, and I'd get a lot of hate for Witcher.
Which it won't.
Yeah, so, but,
these are going to be up on the internet for everyone to see. Wait until you do make it, mate. They'll go back and listen to these.
Yeah, so...
We'll be up to episode, 2001.
Something like that.
And then people go, so I remember back in podcast number 9, or number 10, whichever one it is, when you said you hated Witcher. You bastard.
You fuckhead. Yeah, so... Like what they do with a lot of politicians these days. 10 years ago, you said this on Twitter. You don't deserve to be a fucking prime minister. What are you talking about? So it's like
we are who we are, and if they don't like us for who we are, then that's their problem.
Exactly, 100% their problem. But mate, have you got anything else to add before we wrap this up, buddy?
No, this is almost like a double podcast. This one.
Yes,
we fitted all of E3 into an hour, and we blabbered on for almost An hour and 45.
We did. That's all right. We're on an hour and 45 at the moment, so that's all right, mate. But guys, that is that is JayNAS podcast. This is JayNAS. The good old JayNAS.
There's my ball sack. Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us on JayNAS podcast number 9. Guys, you are now all up to date on the latest gaming, PC, console, retro, and Nintendo news. And we'll see you all in the next JayNAS podcast. And of course, as always, I will leave a link in the description below to check out Jason616's version of his podcast. And as always, Jace.
Yep, same with me. Go check out NasG's gameplays in my description. A link to his channel will be there. Go check him out. Now I've got to stand up out of this chair. I've got a numb ass. So let's close this one off.
That's another good name for a self-titled
the
album
Numb-Ass podcast.
For a heavy metal
The
band.
Numb-Ass podcast.
Yeah, Numb-Ass. Self-titled heavy metal band. Album cover.
Numb-Ass.
The Legends of Metal. Numb-Ass. Namaste. No. Alright, guys. We'll see you all in the next JayNAS podcast. Bye.
Bye.